You're sitting in your car outside a job site at 11 at night looking at a thick envelope your boss just handed you. You were hired to help frame houses, paid in cash every Friday, and told this arrangement was better for everyone. Now the envelope doesn't have cash. It has tax forms and a letter saying the government thinks you owe them money. Paying someone under the table sounds simple. A boss hands you cash, you do the work, and nobody reports it to the government. But the law doesn't care about handshakes. The law cares about classification, which is just the official category the government uses to decide what your rights are and who pays taxes on your labor. When you take that cash, you're stepping into a legal trap that stays hidden until something goes wrong. We're going to walk through exactly how that trap works, what happens when it springs shut, and when you need to find a lawyer. Let's follow what actually happens to someone who takes that cash. You get hired at a landscaping company. The owner says he will pay you $400 a week in cash. He says it saves him paperwork and puts more money in your pocket right now. No taxes taken out, no forms to fill out. It feels like a great deal. You take it. The first problem shows up the day you get hurt. You're carrying a heavy stone slab, your foot slips, and your knee blows out. You need surgery. If you were a W-2 employee, which is a person officially on the company payroll where the boss withholds taxes and pays into a state insurance fund, you'd be covered by workers' compensation. Workers' compensation is a mandatory insurance system that pays your medical bills and replaces your paycheck when you're injured on the job, no matter whose fault it was. But because you were paid under the table, your boss never paid into that insurance fund for you. He paid you cash to avoid the premiums, which are the regular payments a business makes to keep an insurance policy active. Now, the boss might claim you were an independent contractor, which is a worker classified as a separate business who is responsible for paying their own taxes and buying their own insurance. If the boss says you're an independent contractor, he will tell you that his workers' compensation policy doesn't cover you at all. The government doesn't just take the boss's word for it. The government uses a test to figure out what you actually are. This test looks at how much control the boss had over your daily work. Did he tell you what time to show up? Did he provide the shovels and the truck? Did he tell you exactly how to lay the stones? If the answer is yes, the law generally says you're an employee, not an independent contractor, even if you agreed to be paid in cash. Even if you signed a piece of paper saying you were an independent contractor, the law looks past the paperwork to the reality of the situation. If you're legally an employee, you can usually file a claim for workers' compensation. But because you were paid under the table, you now have a massive paper trail problem. The insurance company will demand proof of your wages to calculate your lost paycheck benefits. They want pay stubs and tax returns. You don't have any. The boss might suddenly claim he has no idea who you're. He might say you were just a guy hanging out at the job site. You'll have to prove you worked there, prove how much you made, and prove you were officially on the clock when you got hurt. You'll absolutely need a lawyer to force the boss to hand over his bank records and prove you were there. Let's jump ahead. Your knee heals and you keep working. You do this for 3 years. Every week, you get a thick envelope of cash. You never file a tax return because nobody took taxes out of your pay. The IRS is the federal agency that collects income taxes in the United States. The IRS doesn't forget about you. They have computers that track bank deposits and large purchases. Eventually, they catch up. When the IRS catches up, they don't just ask for the taxes you owe. They add penalties, which are extra financial punishments added on top of a bill for breaking a rule, and they add interest, which is a percentage fee that grows every single day you don't pay the original bill. Let's say you decide you've had enough and you quit to find a normal job. You apply for unemployment benefits, which is a temporary weekly check the government pays to workers who lose their jobs through no fault of their own. The unemployment office checks the state database to see how much money your boss reported paying you. They find $0. The state has no record of your employment. You can't get unemployment benefits because as far as the state is concerned, you never had a job. You've no safety net. Now, let's flip the script. Maybe you're not the worker. Maybe you own a small plumbing business. You're trying to grow, work is piling up, and you need help. A guy offers to help you run pipes for a week. He says you can just pay him $300 in cash. You think it's a fast, cheap way to get the job done. You're stepping into the exact same legal trap, but from the other side. If that worker drops a heavy wrench on a customer's brand new tile floor and breaks it, you're liable. Liability means you're legally responsible for the damage. The customer will sue you. If you paid the worker in cash and never reported him, your insurance company might refuse to pay for the broken floor. Insurance companies require you to list every single employee on your policy. If you hide an employee to save a few bucks, the insurance company will cancel your coverage. You'll pay for that tile out of your own pocket. If that worker gets hurt while running your pipes, the state government will come after you. Most states have strict laws about unreported workers. You could face massive fines, which are financial penalties levied by a government agency for breaking the law. These fines can easily reach $50,000 or more. If the state decides you intentionally committed tax fraud, which is the crime of lying on official tax documents to avoid paying money you legally owe, you can face criminal charges. That means jail time. Every state enforces these rules differently. The specific fines, the criminal thresholds, and the exact tests for who counts as an employee change depending on where you live. You absolutely must talk to a local employment lawyer before you make decisions about paying people. Let's follow the worker one more time. You get older. You've been paid under the table for 20 years. You never paid into the Social Security system. Social Security is the federal program that sends you a monthly check after you retire. You go to retire, and the government looks at your record. They see 0 contributions. Your retirement check is 0. You worked hard your whole life, but because you took cash under the table, you've no safety net for your old age. If you're currently sitting in your car, staring at an envelope, you might be wondering what you can actually do. If you're a worker who owes back taxes because of cash pay, you don't just ignore the letter. You need to talk to a tax attorney, which is a lawyer who specializes in negotiating with the IRS to set up payment plans or reduce penalties. If you're a worker who got hurt on a cash job, you need a workers' compensation lawyer immediately to help you prove you were actually an employee. If you're a business owner, you need a certified public accountant to fix your books and properly classify your workers before the government audits you. An audit is a comprehensive official review of your financial records to ensure you paid the correct amount of taxes. The promise of cash under the table is that it's fast and free. The reality of cash under the table is that it eliminates your safety net entirely. You're betting that you'll never get hurt, never lose your job, and never want to retire. You're betting the boss will always be honest and the government will never check the records. It's a bad bet. If you were offered a job tomorrow that paid 20% more in cash under the table but came with 0 paperwork, would you take it? Tell me your honest answer in the comments. If this breakdown helped you see the massive legal risks hidden in a cash handshake, please send the video to a buddy who might be tempted by a fast cash job. And make sure you subscribe to Scribble Law so you always know the actual rules of the game before someone tries to rewrite them to save a buck.